Petric is an American family company who pioneered all the research on the plant-soil microbe interface. And Vastov Petric, the founder, he was the first to make a stable cultured microbe hardened in a lab. And we use these microbes now for commercial agriculture purposes. So to restore the vital health of soils after being farmed out through traditional methods. The company's been, Petric's been in Australia for approximately the last 20 years. The company's now director, Shane Fitzgerald, he's had the company for about the last 10 to 12. Most of Petric's work started in far north Queensland in the banana industry, where we dominate that industry now. We would service over 70% of Australia's banana farms. And it wasn't up until Cyclone a few years back that we kind of started moving out of there and treating more soils around Australia, which led us here to the New England, which is the area that I look after. And business is good. Evidently in the years previous, let's say 5 to 10 years ago, people were very sceptical about the relationship of plant-soil microbes. And being that Petric's been around for over 60 years, we are the leaders in that technology and that nanotech. And now it's readily acceptable that this is the way forward. This is the future of farming.
Okay, so I noticed behind you the snow is falling down here in the New England. It's a long way from tropical North Queensland.
Yes.
What action or what productivity gains did Petric technology induce in the banana industry that made it such a powerful kind of operator?
In the banana industry, Shane Fitzgerald, the director, spent a lot of time analysing fungal disease. He was a pest scout. So he really understood the limitations of the banana industry within Australia. It wasn't until he was introduced to Petric and started to focus more on the plant-soil microbes that he started to see gains and yields in those areas. As for the pasture, the industry I'm more familiar with, we did a replication trial for weight gain in young steers. We saw 27% yield increase in beef, and that was out of a test group of 250. So, with my area, and we've seen great yield increases within the cropping and dairy farms across Australia. We tend to think of it as a plant, and they all need quality soil, and those systems need to be robust enough to handle the capacity.
Okay, so say I'm in the beef cattle industry and I've got depleted soils. I come to see you or your agents. What's the process? I mean, it's going to take me a while.
Best practice.
Yes.
We would like to take a soil test and let's see where you're actually at. Where are your soils at? And depending on your operation and what that soil test reveals, we always work with the chemistry as well. So if we see that you're limited in perhaps boron or some sulphur or copper or molybdenum, we will make recommendations for those, or we will adjust your pH, and then we will go forward with a microbial inoculant, depending on your operation, which will best suit. Cost-wise, you'll be looking at approximately $27 to $33 per hectare. So it's very reasonable and it's affordable for people, who are traditionally used to superphosphate or synthetic fertilisers. We're also BFA registered, so we're able to service all of the organic community out there. So yeah, it's leap forward.
It sounds very exciting. We're going to talk in a minute to Herbie McKenzie, who's one of your customers, who's been using your stable, productive microbe technology for 4 years.
Yes.
How do you handle new customers in terms of getting them used to or getting them comfortable with what's occurring in their pasture?
It's important for them to see the improvements that are being made and the changes within the soil structure themselves. And the only way you can do that is by getting a shovel and going out and digging it up and showing them the increase in rooting depth. They will see visually the increase of moisture retention and less water runoff. So these are the things we tend to address humus creation, the microbes that we utilise in our, particularly our pasture applications, focuses on humus creation. We break down the layer of thatch that's on the surface of most of these pastures that you'll see undigested organic matter. Biggest limitations is compaction also in pasture industries. So we like to see, the soil structure change, fluffiness. The worms do return to the soil. That's a very big part of the process. We sometimes go out on site and there will be hundreds of worms, per shovelful. That they've initiated the system. The bugs have started to work. It's making the soil softer and lighter. The worms can return to the soil and actually start digesting that organic matter. So you've really just kick-started the whole system back to its optimum level.
What particularly makes the product stable?
Yeah. Petric is to my knowledge at this stage, is the only microbial inoculant that has been yield tested. We do yield mapping results in our cropping countries. We've done replicated weight gain trials. We've done other replicated trials. We are very science-based and we do come from that soil biological background. Sorry, what was the second part of your question?
How would one normally apply
Right.
the product?
So you've got a variety of options. You can, in the right climatic conditions and weather conditions, you can boom spray out directly. It's a liquid product that you do mix with water. So if you've got a nice drizzly day, you could go out and boom spray directly onto your pasture, let's say. We developed a method in the New England because we don't always have the greatest weather conditions, although it's perfect right now, where we would ground spread with an organic litter source, so perhaps chicken litter, cow manure or a compost. And as it's coming off the back of the truck, we inoculate the spinners, so the microbes are going directly onto a food source and then being scattered out amongst the paddock. And finally, just in recent times, we have started flying it out of planes. So there's a group out of Moree who have a special boom jet that's more like a rain droplet size, which is what we need for this product. And we've started flying it out across the country. So you've got a variety of options. Also in the cropping country, we like to liquid inject at planting. That's very effective. Or we've even just used a Kelly chain to tickle it in after a boom spray. So there's quite a variety of ways.